The Buffalo Bills have already locked up the number 2 seed in the AFC conference, but their wildcard opponent has yet to be determined. They'll take on one of the Denver Broncos, Miami Dolphins, or Cincinnati Bengals, with their playoff opponents being determined in the final week of the 2024 regular season. It's pretty simple. If Denver wins or ties their game against Kansas City, then it's the Broncos that are in the final wildcard spot. They can also clinch that playoff spot if they lose, and the Dolphins and Bengals both lose their regular season finales as well. However, if the Broncos lose that game against Kansas City and Miami defeats the New York Jets, then it's the Dolphins that take on Buffalo. But if both Denver and Miami lose their game and Cincinnati defeats Pittsburgh, then it's Joe Burrow and the Bengals taking on the Buffalo Bills in a wildcard matchup. With Buffalo's first playoff opponent still undetermined, let's take a look at each one of these teams and rank them based on who presents the biggest challenge for the Bills. Welcome back to the Bills Bunker, everybody. I'm Jake Varco, and the playoffs are just around the corner. It's been a blast all season long right here on the channel. Now over 12,000 subscribers, so thank you for your support here on the Bills Bunker. If you haven't yet, click that subscribe button. Right now, what we're going to do in this video, we're going to take a look at each and every one of these playoff opponents that could be going to Buffalo in the first round, and we're going to rank them based on who Buffalo wants to play the most to the least at the end of the video. So stay tuned, click subscribe if you haven't yet, click like. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills' first playoff opponent. The Denver Broncos have an opportunity to clinch their first playoff berth since 2015 in Week 18. And their team has looked much improved from last season. They have a stingy defense that is holding opposing teams to under 20 points scored per game, and they're being led by an experienced Super Bowl winning head coach in Sean Payton. Rookie Bo Nix has been impressive, and he looks like he has a bright future in the National Football League. But this offensive unit for Denver is still far from perfect, and the lack of playoff experience in the National Football League could be the difference for Denver in the playoffs. The Broncos are definitely a really well-built team that can pull off an upset in any game that they play, and it appears as if they have a lot of reason for optimism moving forward. But for right now, they're just not equipped for a deep run in the playoffs. Then you have the Miami Dolphins, who the Buffalo Bills have already defeated twice this season. Josh Allen, he's someone who has historically dominated Miami throughout his career. And Tua Tagovailoa, he's struggled to get wins in cold weather games, which will be a factor in Buffalo during the month of January. The Dolphins, they have had a really up and down season, and they typically struggle against stronger competition with a winning record. But it is indeed hard to beat a team 3 times in a season, and that is what the Buffalo Bills will need to do if they take on Miami in the first round. And then finally, you have the red-hot Cincinnati Bengals, who have won their last 4 games and need to make it 5 straight to even give themselves a chance of qualifying for the playoffs. If they do manage to squeak into the playoffs, they're going to be a scary team for anybody to go up against. Everybody knows that Cincy's weakness is their defense, but dealing with an offense that consists of weapons such as Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins is a nightmare that nobody wants to deal with. This is a Bengals team that is known for going on late season runs over the past few years, and when they're healthy and hot, they're one of the scarier teams in the AFC. Nobody in the current playoff picture wants to see the Bengals get into the postseason, but it is a realistic scenario to see Cincinnati taking on Buffalo in the first round. Now, before I give my final rankings for these 3 opponents that the Bills can face off against in the first round of the playoffs, I think it's important to note that the Bills, they're the number 2 seed. They should be able to deal with any of these teams. They can beat any of these teams, but there is the potential for an upset one way or another. This is the NFL. Any given Sunday is the old saying, and it stands true. With that being taken into consideration, the team that the Bills want to see the most of these 3 teams is the Denver Broncos. My reasoning for that, obviously, you have a solid defensive unit that's holding opponents to under 20 points scored per game. But Josh Allen and this Bills offense, they've been lighting it up all season long. And if they can continue to do that, they will outscore a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix. Sean Payton, obviously, he's a head coach who he has a high football IQ as a former Super Bowl champion. But just taking into consideration Josh Allen and this Bills offense against an offensive unit that has a lot of young talent that still has a lot of room to grow in the NFL, but they're just not there yet, you want to play the Denver Broncos, ideally. Number 2, it's the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, the Dolphins, the Bills, in their history against the Dolphins, recent history at least, the Bills have dominated them. Josh Allen, he pretty much owns the Miami Dolphins. But it's hard to beat a good team twice in the NFL. Now, to beat them 3 times in the NFL, not even just a good team, but any team in the NFL, to beat them 3 times in a year, it's pretty difficult. When you're division opponents, you know each other really well. You see each other twice a year. Seeing them 3 times a year can be a bigger challenge. We saw that just a few years ago when Skylar Thompson and the Miami Dolphins almost defeated the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. So, Buffalo, Miami, they'll take it. Tua Tagovailoa in the cold, no problem. But it's still, I'd rather see Denver. But the team they want to see the least, and I think everybody in the NFL is concerned about this. You don't want to see Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. It's not just the Buffalo Bills that don't want to see them. I'm sure the Chiefs don't want to see the Bengals in the playoffs either, because this is a team that has gone on tears. When this offense is scoring at the rate that they can, I mean, they're a potent team, they're hard to slow down, and they can simply outscore you. The Bills, the Bengals, in a shootout in the playoffs, that's not your ideal first round matchup, especially when you're probably going to have to go through Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and then go through Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Just think about that gauntlet. You got to go through Burrow, Jackson, and Mahomes just to get to the Super Bowl. So that's definitely not ideal for your first round opponent. But like I said, the Bills, they can beat any one of these teams. It's just what is going to happen. Any given Sunday, any of these teams could pull off an upset too. But my rankings, if I'm the Buffalo Bills, I want to see the Denver Broncos the most with their rookie quarterback. Then, I'll take the Miami Dolphins, sure. Joe Burrow and the Bengals, I'm a bit worried, concerned about that maybe, but the Bills should be able to handle their business. Just note, that Bengals team is really hot. But those are my rankings. Let me know your rankings of these 3 teams. Who do you want to see the most, and who do you not want to see get in the playoffs? Let me know in the comments section down below. If you haven't yet, click subscribe to the Bills Bunker. Thank you for watching this video. Go Bills. Whatever opponent the Bills play, I'll be live at the wild card for the Bills' first playoff game in Orchard Park this season. Stay tuned for that reaction video and so much more content coming your way right here on the channel. Let's go Buffalo.